Hey everybody, Bill and Deb.
Good morning.
Yeah, it is morning.
I think it is for me. I just got breakfast dishes done, so
Yeah.
It's morning.
Yeah, we're relaxing right now out here in the gazebo behind the trailer. And I'm going to take you around here in a little bit and show you how we have things set up. But first I thought what we might do is talk about how we made it through
2 nights.
Well, we've actually been through 2 nights. Yeah. This is our going on our 3rd day. 2 nights starting on our 3rd day. Is that right?
We moved over here on Thursday. We spent all day Friday. This is Saturday.
Okay.
I don't know.
There you go.
I'm confused.
But we have spent 2 nights, and so far we have not plugged in at all.
No, so far so good.
Yeah.
But the sun was shining bright. Today we've had a little bit of clouds.
Yeah, this morning it started out cloudy, and it's windy today too. I hope the wind doesn't bother y'all too much. And there's a lot of traffic out on the highway. We're near Rogers. That's all I'm going to say. And we're on a friend's property. And yes, he does have power available. He's got 15 amp available, but
if we need it, but we're trying real hard not to need it.
We're just not going to, and I don't see where we're going to need it. But the wind is blustery today. Yesterday we had sun all day long.
Bright sun.
And after we had taken our showers of a morning and all that kind of stuff, the battery bank was down to in the mid 50% range, if I remember correctly. And by 4 o'clock, the panels alone had brought it back up to 100%, our battery bank, all the way back up to 100%.
We got the generator out, but we never had to plug it in.
Right, and we do have it ready to go if we needed to as backup. And I'm going to show you how we would utilize it as backup as part of my walk around here in a little bit.
Reiterate, we have how many panels?
Okay, we have 4 panels on top of the trailer, which are 200 watts each, so that's a total of 800 watts. Everybody likes to say, I got 800 watts of solar on top of my trailer. Well, folks, we have yet to see 800 watts being produced by the panels on top. That's not to mean that they would if the conditions were absolutely perfect, but you know, I guess the easiest way to say that is we don't live in a perfect world.
Maybe that's it. And then we have 2 auxiliary panels.
Have 2 auxiliary panels that we normally have set up on top of the van. We did a video about that a while back, how we set them up on the van, and also went ahead and wired them in on top of the van where we had a special outlet on the side of the van where we could plug them in right there and plug them right into the trailer if we wanted to. But we also have them set up so we can remove them from the top of the van relatively easily. Not wonderfully easily, but relatively easily.
It wasn't too bad. It was better than I had anticipated.
Well, and it was also the first time we'd done it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and we'll get better. And I've also looked where I can make a few little minor adjustments to make it even easier to remove them from the top of the van. Okay. So, little things that you learn as you go along.
That's our solar panels. And then to store all that solar, we have what kind of battery bank?
Well, why don't you? Since you're listing everything out.
No, I'm just the marinator. Marinator.
We built our own battery from individual cells. We have a total of 8 cells wired in series to make a 24-volt battery. Now at 24 volts, it's rated at 270 amp hours, which if you were to convert that over to 12 volts, that would be equal to 570 amp hours. But something that took me a little while to grasp, and this is what I keep telling myself, you know, watts is watts is watts is watts. Watts is amps times volts, period. So if you have 24 volts and you're pumping in 12 amps at 24 volts, that would be equal pretty much to pumping in 24 amps at 12 volts, because the wattage would be the same. Multiply it out, you'll see what I'm talking about. Watts is watts is watts is watts. The main reason why we go with a 24 volt system in our case as opposed to a 12 volt system, we don't have to use as big a wire because you're not pushing as many amps through the wire, but you are pushing the same amount of watts through the wire.
Okay. And this, just to reiterate, we're totally electric.
Exactly.
And yesterday morning when we woke up, it was pretty cool in the trailer.
Pretty nippy, yeah.
So we turned on the heat pump.
Right.
Let it run for about, I don't know, 30 minutes, took the chill out of the house.
Yeah.
Turned it off.
Right.
Turned the coffee pot on.
Yep.
drank our 2 cups of coffee, turned the coffee pot off, turned the hot water tank on.
Water heater. Remember, we've got
water heater.
Don't trigger some of those folks that are picky
we
about that.
We both took a shower. When Bill got done with his shower, we turned the water heater off, but I had enough hot water to wash the dishes.
Yeah. Now our water heater is a it's not a Bosch, but it's similar to those. It's a 7-gallon water heater rated at 1440 watts. You know.
When we cooked breakfast.
Yeah. We did, didn't we?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Now we will say this: so we have been utilizing. We did the review on that product from Opez. I hope I'm pronouncing it right this time. That 1200 watt pure sine wave inverter portable power station.
True. I'm using it to plug in my induction cooktop.
And it's been really handy for that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And helps. And then when we get our batteries up to snuff and everything, and we're making good power, that's when we go ahead and plug it in and recharge it and bring it back up. So
far, so good.
It's a learning process. You learn how to conserve energy as you go, and you learn, you can't just leave everything running all the time.
As we're used to.
Yeah. And, I wish that I had double the battery bank I've got.
Now that's pricey.
I wish I had double the solar panels I've got.
I wish I was 29, but that ain't gonna happen.
No, I'd wish for like 45.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. 29, I knew a lot more when I was 45. I just didn't know how to utilize my knowledge at that point.
Oh, okay. So we want to be...
I was still cooking.
We want to be the intelligence that we have now, such as it is.
Intelligence? Let's don't say that.
Okay.
Experience.
Experience that we have now, but the abilities of a 49-year-old.
Yeah, anyway. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do now, I'm going to walk them around and I'm going to show them how we have the panel set up. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
And then and show them our backup option from the outside, and then I'm going to meet you inside the trailer.
Okay.
And then we'll look at the app, because all of our components are Bluetooth, and we'll see exactly what everything's doing.
Sounds like a
How's
good
that?
plan.
All right. Be right back. All right, everybody. I apologize for the wind and the noise and all that stuff. And again, let me reiterate this so that everybody will know we're not out in the boonies somewhere. We are on a friend's property, and but we have not plugged in, just so you'll know that. But we are solely surviving on our panels and nothing else. We have yet to plug in, nor do we intend to plug into any kind of a regular shore power. But what I've got set up here are my panels here on the ground, and basically what I'm trying to do is look at the shadow, which right now I don't have much of a shadow because the sun is still behind some high clouds. Eventually hopefully they'll blow away because the wind's blowing pretty good, but we do seem to have a pretty decent amount of power coming into the trailer. And for all those others out there, you'll see this blade spinning on the mini split. The mini split is not running. That's just from the wind blowing. Okay. Now, of course, I've got these panels hooked up in series because, again, we have a 24-volt system. So basically what I did, well, first, let me walk over here. Let's just walk over here. I want to show you something over here. You see this outlet right here? This is an SAE outlet right here. And the way I've got that arranged, when I have the panels mounted up on top, and you can see part of the panel stands mounted up there, I've got that all wired in. All I got to do once I mount the panels back up there, I plug them in, and then I have power coming directly down to this outlet right here. So then what I did, I made up a 30-foot cable that has SAE ends on both ends of this 30-foot number 10 solar panel cable. I believe I got that from Bouge RV. And what I also did, since I've got them sitting on the ground, I went ahead and made me up an adapter with an SAE end on this end, and then 2 MC4 connectors here. So I've got these panels wired in series, and then from there, the cable runs along here, of course. And this is the inlet where it goes inside, right here, just below our 15 amp AC outlet right here. And of course it goes in and it's connected to its own dedicated charge controller in there, which is a Victron 20 amp Victron charge controller. So that's how that works. So I've got it set up where I can pull the panels down and put them on the ground like this, or if I have the panels on the van, and let's say we're just going to be parking for a day and we're not going to be going anywhere in the van, and then we're going to be moving on to our next destination, I've got it also set up that I can still plug the panels in, even if I've got them set up here on top of the van, simply by, you know, plugging into this particular outlet right here. So that's how we've got that all going. Now, I'm going to show you something else over here, just in case we need backup, and then I'll finish showing you all about it on the inside. Now, right here, this is a regular standard 15 amp, someone might correct me and say 20 amp inlet, but that is a regular AC power inlet right there. Now that particular inlet is going directly to a dedicated receptacle that it powers, that and only that. So what we can do if we need backup in order to get more power into the batteries, we can go ahead and fire up the generator, which I have going, you know, all ready to go right here if I needed to. A little 2,000 watt generator. Got my cord right here. And if we needed backup, say if it's a rainy day or cloudy, or we're not quite where we need to be to get through the night, I can fire up the generator, plug it in to this particular inlet, and then I have my dedicated charger that's built into my system, a Victron charger. Then I also have an auxiliary charger where I wired in an extra port to plug it in, and I can plug both of those, well, I can have both of those chargers plugged into that dedicated receptacle inside the trailer. And then whenever I fire up the generator, and theoretically it should just idle because it's all it's having to do is power those two chargers, then I'd be able to pump in a total of around 32, 34 amps into the battery bank to augment the panels, just in case we had a bad day. Or let's say if Deb's gonna run the toaster oven, and you know that's a really big power hog, we can go ahead and run the generator just long enough to augment the power coming in from the panels, in addition to the chargers, to keep everything going so it won't drain the battery bank way down. And then of course we kill the generator and let the panels take over. So anyway, that's the way that is set up. So now we're going to go inside and we're going to look at what we're doing. Be right back. Well, I hope I was clear as mud out there.
That wind's trying to blow us away today.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it is flat whipping it on out there. I think we're supposed to be having wind gusts up to 33 miles an hour today.
It's out of the south.
And I was just a little concerned, you know, with the panels, because I've got another set of stands ordered, which I didn't go into while I was out there, but I do have another set of stands ordered, and I'm going to make a cradle that everything sets on, a cradle that I can easily assemble and disassemble for transport.
Right.
So that when I mount the panels on the ground, when we're going to be stationary for an extended period of time, they'll be sitting on this cradle and be more secure. Plus I'm going to have it set up where I can pull the cradle around to kind of follow the track of the sun, you know, and that'll make it pretty easy to do. Huh?
The sun just keeps moving.
I know it. Yeah, and that's another thing that I didn't mention. That's another thing that I did not mention out there was yesterday I did periodically move the panels over a little bit at a time and follow the track of the sun so as to get full benefit from the panels outside, you know, the panels on the ground. The panels on top of the trailer were stuck.
They are what they are.
They are what they are. And we're going to show you some numbers here in a little bit. Before we do that though, you know, we just did a review on this product here. And this product already in the last couple of days has proved its weight in gold.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I cooked dinner with it last night.
Yeah.
We cooked breakfast with it this morning, and
well, for lunch we had hot dogs, and we used the George Foreman grill.
Yes.
And the George Foreman grill only was pulling 600 watts, and it only ran for about.
It's a small one.
Yeah, it's a small one. It's not the big one, but it's plenty for us. And it only pulled 600 watts, and it only took what, about 5 minutes.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
that's about what it takes.
Yeah.
Now, I also fixed hamburgers for supper last
Right.
night on the George Foreman grill. And, of course, it pulled the same amps. It ran for about, I think, 10 minutes because I used thick hamburger meat.
Yeah.
So I turned it
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah.
And then you made oatmeal with it this morning.
I did. And after you made, now we had a full charge, I think, before we cooked the burgers last night
Yes.
on this, because we
Yes.
went ahead and plugged it in and brought it back up to 100%. But after, well, let's just see. After we made hamburgers with it last night, might as well just take a minute and, after we made hamburgers with it last night, and then I made oatmeal again this morning, we still have 72% charge left on it.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So these are, a unit like this is very, very handy to augment your boondocking experience.
Yeah, we probably should charge our cell phones using that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we don't think
And we
that
will.
far ahead.
No. Well, when we get on the road and we travel in the van, that's when we plug the
You
cell
know,
phones in.
we're learning.
Oh yeah, but here again, that thing has saved us a lot, because we want the panels to be able to bring up the battery bank to 100% if possible, and it'll still get us through the night even without that. But where we use most of our power with the battery bank is of a morning when we make coffee, and then when we turn on the water heater. Now, granted, the water heater is only on for about 20 minutes or so, or a little longer
more
than that.
Probably 30.
Okay, total of about 30 minutes, and then of course we kill it, and even then we still have enough hot water left to do dishes.
Right.
Right. So, and you've brought it down now where you're trying to do dishes just once a day.
Once a day while
Yeah.
we're boondocking.
Right. Right. While we're boondocking. So, little things you got to think about. And
Another reason why we have this huge sink, I can stack dishes in the sink.
there you go.
And they don't show.
Well, and if you have company come over, just throw a towel
Just
over it.
throw a towel over it and we're good to go.
Yeah. All right. Now let's look at some numbers here right quick. Would you hold this for a moment, please? Thank you, dear. Now can I have it back?
No.
Well, okay.
I'm teasing.
All right, let's pull up our Victron app here. And we were down in the mid 50s this morning when we started, and keep in mind the sun has been behind the clouds ever since the sun came up this
We were
morning.
50% after we did everything we needed to do.
Exactly.
To face the day.
After we did everything, well, we were like 55, 56, somewhere in
Okay.
there, if I remember
All right.
correctly. Let's look at the smart shunt first and see where the battery bank is now. Okay, so we've come from around 55% up to 63%. Now, a lot of folks, what they like to look at is watts, and I prefer to look at amps. And you see this number here right now, it says 14.11, then it's bouncing around between 13.84 to 14.11, right in there. That is the positive charge going into the battery bank in amps. That's how much we are pumping in after what we're using.
And
right
we're
there.
using this, right?
No, I don't use that. I use that right there.
I mean, this is how much we're burning.
No,
No.
don't
Okay.
even look at that.
Never mind.
The way you determine what you're burning, and let's go. Let's move out of that, and let's go first. Let's see what the panels are doing on top. Okay, if you want to talk watts, okay, we'll talk watts. The panels on top right now are bringing in 272 watts. They were actually bringing in a little bit more than that earlier this morning, but the clouds have rolled back in for a little bit and it's a little darker. But what I look at after the charge controller has taken over, see, we're starting out, the voltage coming in to the charge controller is 38, 39 volts, and it's pumping in around 8 amps. But after I was just about to drop my phone. After we get after the charge controller takes over and does the conversion, it brings the voltage down to around 27 volts. So what the panels on top are doing now is pumping in 11 to 12 amps into the battery. So remember that. Let's just remember 11 amps. Now that is the panels on top. Now let's go to the panels out front. The two 200 watt panels out front. All right, they are bringing in 191, around there, 180 to 190 watts if you want to talk watts. Then after the charge controller takes over and brings the voltage down to 26.73, now we have a current going in roughly around 7 amps. You see it right there, 7 amps is what's going in. So 17 plus what was the other?
7 plus 11.
11. So about 18 amps is what we're producing to go into the battery bank. Now, let's go back to the shunt. Okay, we have a positive current of around 10 amps coming into the battery bank, but our panels all together are making 18 amps into the battery bank. So when you do the subtraction, that means right now we're burning 8 amps.
And the only thing I know we're running right now is we got the max fan on number 2.
Okay.
We've got a few lights on.
And I bet the fridge has kicked in.
And the fridge is being,
fridge.
but everything else is off.
Right. But sometimes we'll see that that change, because when the compressor is no longer running on the fridge, you know, of course it's not using very much, but it'll fluctuate up and down. So what we're actually doing right now, we're pumping in a positive around 9 to 11 amps, and now yesterday at this time we were doing a lot more than that.
Yes.
Because we had really good bright sun hitting the panels, both on the top and on the ground. So we'll monitor it throughout the day, see how well it's doing, and if we feel like we need to plug in the generator and run 2 chargers, which we have the standard built-in charger, which is under the bed, and then we also have the auxiliary charger that we can plug in, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that here in a little bit. Then we can be pumping in another 32 amps or so into the battery bank, which will augment what the panels are doing, if these clouds will ever move out of the way. All right. Now, oh well, here's something else I wanted to show you. I'm sorry. I know, now I'm really making people dizzy. Let's see a history. Let's go back to yesterday. Now we're looking at what here in a second. We're pulling up the panels up on top to hit history. Now, yesterday, we brought in our peak wattage coming in was 446. You see this tall column there, you know, right here. Peak wattage coming in was 446 watts. When everything was doing great, that's the peak that we brought in during the day. And we yielded a total of 2.53 kilowatt hours off of the panels on top. Now, let's go to the panels on the ground, but keep in mind, whoops, it didn't come up. There you go. The panels on the ground are currently now, you know, pumping in 174 watts, if you want to see that. Now let's go to history. Yesterday, the panels on the ground, mainly because even though they're half the quote-unquote capacity of the panels on top, a lot of it had to do with the fact that I could strategically position the panels on the ground. We had a peak wattage coming in of 335 watts. You know, and keep in mind, yesterday we had fantastic sun, and you know, throughout the day I would tweak the panels a little bit and kind of follow the track of the sun as it tracked across the sky. So, you know, those are 200 watt panels, which theoretically would make 400 watts. It is phenomenal to get 335 watts out of panels capable of 400 watts. I mean, to get an honest 335 watts. But one thing, of course, that you've got to keep in mind, folks, is you don't have those conditions all day long.
No,
you know,
unfortunately.
Yeah, you know, those
when
conditions,
you're trying to rely on solar.
So, you know, here again, though, if I had double the battery bank, it's only money, dear.
Yeah.
It's only money. If I had double the battery bank and if I had double the panels, now that would be an issue. You know, where would I carry, you know, because I'd want the 4 panels on top of the trailer and then add 2 more panels to put on the ground.
Something would have to go.
Then, yeah, then I'd have to figure, you know, the kayaks.
I guess you could build a fake floor above the bed and our mattress could be another 4 inches taller. I guess we could do that.
Or the other option would be partially, you know, which could be something down the line, is remove the panels on top, build a different rack system up on top of the trailer, and go with 4 larger panels on top, and maybe try to figure out a way to park another couple other panels up there.
In the meantime.
In the meantime, yeah. But let me show you one more thing before we go, because I was talking about it a minute ago. I'm not going to pull out the auxiliary charger and show you that, but, and that's another thing we're going to be working on while we're here, is making a new door. The bottom part of this receptacle has been separated, where the top part of this receptacle is fed by what comes in off of the panel, which is hidden behind Deb's beautiful painting there. The bottom part of the receptacle is where the that outlet is, or that inlet is outside that I showed you, and it's feeding this. Now I've got a double unit here, right here. Right now I've got them plugged in where the black cord right here goes to the dedicated charger that's underneath the bed. This red cord you see right here goes over and feeds this receptacle. Now we have an extra 24 volt charger that we can just simply set right here, plug it in here for power, and then I have a separate port right here that I can plug in off of the outputs on that charger, and now I've got two chargers working. The dedicated charger under the bed pumps out 12 amps. The auxiliary charger pumps out 22. So, you know, theoretically we get 34 amps being pumped back into the batteries. And again, theoretically, and I have yet to test the theory with the generator, but I'm reasonably certain that the generator will simply idle.
Well, it's supposed to rain, I think, Saturday and maybe Monday.
Yeah, so we
may be testing that theory.
Right. We may have to move the generator into the Gazelle gazebo, you know, so it won't get wet, of course. But so we may be testing that theory then. Whatever we do, any more tests that we do, we'll keep you informed.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think we're done for now.
We're done today. We got to go to the store.
Yep. I'm going to reposition the panels.
Baby needs shoes.
I'm the baby. I need new shoes, and I need a new pair of jeans.
Oh, for pity's sakes.
Yeah. Well, I do.
Okay, fine.
But I'll just get the inexpensive jeans.
I don't care.
Because I'm planning on losing about 40 pounds, you know, so I'll have to buy all new jeans.
40 pounds between now and the rendezvous in February? That sounds like a great challenge. Oatmeal and protein shakes is all we're eating. Just think how cheap my grocery bill would be.
See, your idea about losing weight is to starve me to death.
Well, that's the only way to lose weight. Less calories, more activity. You know, that's the only way.
I'm okay with the activity.
Yeah, but you got less calories at the same time. You can't have more activity and then consume more calories. That don't work.
Why do you have to be so cotton picking logical?
No, it's just so sad.
I swear. We're going to discuss this among ourselves off camera.
Yes.
This is Bill and Deb with I Ride Tiny House Adventures, and you know what we're going to say. We're not camping.
We are living.
Y'all get out there and do some living. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.